I'm pretty excited about it. But anyhow, the course is a little bit older than that. So I have made this preferences setup sheet so that we can make sure that we have the same screen. So we're going to go through that right now. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to close my file. I'll reopen it. But you don't want any files open while you go through the preferences. All right, so Adobe Illustrator Preferences Setup. Open Adobe Illustrator, then go to the menu, Edit, Preferences, General. So up here, Menu, Edit, Preferences, General. And then I get the snazzy box. Ooh, and all of my windows went away. Hold on one second. There we go. All right. So I have my user interface blown up. One, because I'm absolutely blind. And then two, because it's easier for you to see. So your box may not be so large. Just, keep that in mind. You can change it though. I'll show you how to change it to make it huge if you'd like. All right, so this is your preferences dialog box. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna compare these two and make sure that everything that is checked on or checked off is the same. And this is going to make sure that what I have on my screen and what you have on your screen match, because if my screen and your screen don't match, then you're gonna have a really hard time looking for things. So you are going to uncheck the first two boxes if they are, and then the next four should show as checked. Uncheck, select same tense, and you want show home screen window documents are open checked on. We're not going to use the legacy new file interface. So you want that unchecked, and then you want these three to be checked. It's menu, edit, preferences. It's the last option under the edit menu. All right, and then you'll have force enable pinch to zoom on touchpad, which I don't even know what that is, unchecked. I'll give you a moment to get that open. Okay, so then we want to make sure that double click to isolate is unchecked. We're not using Japanese crop marks, so that's unchecked. You're going to want transform pattern tiles checked, scale corners checked, scale corners and effects checked, enable content aware defaults checked, and then uncheck honor scale on PDF import. And then this one is probably the most important. Zoom with mouse wheel. When you get your external mouse, you're going to be able to do your pan and zoom features using that middle wheel, which saves a ton of time. A lot of people miss that detail, and then they're trying to zoom and pan with like keyboard controls or on that silly trackpad or whatever, and it's very time consuming and stressful to watch somebody try to navigate their document that way. All right, and then trackpad gesture to rotate view. Sure, you can leave that on, I guess. And then we're unchecking preview bounds. Again, this preferences setup right there in your first assignment. All right, and so then it says you match the check marks in the image and then click selection and anchor display right here from the column on the right. And so if I go to the next page, again, I'm just copying what they have here, or what I have here, I guess. So we want to be able to show anchor points and selection tool and shape tools. We want to move locked and hidden artwork with Artboard. And it's okay if you don't know what any of these mean. You shouldn't yet. We're just making sure, like I said, that your screen and my screen match so that you can find things easily. All right. And then when I move down here, I personally like for my anchors and bounding boxes when I'm working to be very visible. So I move this little cursor up to the max. And I want my handle style to be the blue so that it's even more visible. All right, and then moving on, highlight anchors, on mouse over, hide corner widget for angles greater than, okay, those, check these, all right? And then right here is a note. At this point, you might be tempted to click OK because of the changes that you've made. However, if you click OK, you're actually going to close the dialog box and have to reopen it. We're going to do that in a moment, but for this one, we're just going to move down now to the type menu. Okay, so let's see. In the type menu, we're setting this up to 20 to look for enable in menu font previews. So check that on. Then we'll skip the Japanese font preview and check the rest of these. So enable missing glyph protection, use inline input for non-Latin text, highlighted substitute fonts, new file type objects with placeholder text, show character alternatives, and then automatic bulleted and number list while typing. So those will be on. All right, and then we're going to move to units. This is possibly one of the most important things that you do in this setup that will affect everything that you create. So I do find that a lot of students miss this or they skip this, and then their documents are not in the right measurement increments and they lose points. So general, inches. We work in inches. We are Americans working in the imperial system. We work in inches, okay? So just under that general box, you want to click inches. You'll leave stroke and type as points, but general will be inches. This will affect your artboard sizes, your rulers, etc. All right, and then from here, it says click OK. So we're going to go ahead and save these changes. And then we're going to reopen the dialog box. And the reason why is because once we have reset the, we've set it to inches, the rest of the options are going to change so that they'll match what I have here. So now go back to menu, edit, preferences, oops, and you can go ahead and just do general again, and then down here, find guides and grid. Okay. So in this section, we are looking, you can actually have your guides and grids any color you want. So that's, you know, up to you, but you do want the style to be in lines. You want your, let's see, color, you can change that to whatever you would like, but you definitely want that to be in lines. And then grid line every 4 inches, subdivisions every 1, and then make sure you have checked on grids in back, show pixel grid above 600% zoom. Did I change the number there? It's supposed to be 2. I'm sorry. Subdivisions are 2. There you go. All right, and then from here, we will click the Smart Guides. Go to the next slide here. So we're going to match these options. Like I said, colors, that's up to you. Whatever colors that you want things to be there, that's fine. So the rest of these options are checked on. So you'll match those, make sure your numbers here are the same. Snapping tolerance, 4 points. Okay, and then from here it says click user interface. So from this menu, look for user interface. It's 3 down. Okay, so this section is where you can make things a different background color. You can make them large. So like I mentioned, when I open my preferences panel, it's enormous. And that's because my user interface is set to be large or larger. So from here, you can make it, a lot of people like to work in this light gray for some reason, up to you, or you can go into the darkest one. I kind of, hang out in the medium. All right, make sure your share button is blue, match brightness is checked on. I don't recommend having auto collapse panels on. It gets really annoying. So make sure that's off. Open documents as tabs, and then large tabs. And then this part, the UI scaling, completely up to you. I will say if the scaling is too large, let's say you're working on a smaller screen, sometimes some of the options go kind of too low and they're hard to click on. So you might want to do a little bit of playing around with your UI scaling if you want it to be a little larger. And then scale cursor proportionally, scroll buttons at 2 ends. Okay, and it says the next section is file handling. So this is where we control what happens if Illustrator crashes, okay? So this program is very, very large. It uses a lot of your working memory. And every once in a while, or depending on your computer, or if you have other things open, it may crash. However, we're going to set it up to where it is saving every 2 minutes so that you can get a recovery file. So if it crashes, you don't lose all of your work. So here we have automatically save recovery data every 2 minutes. So make sure that says 2 minutes. And then this gets checked on randomly, and probably because I did an update yesterday, make sure you have this turned off. This says turn off data recovery for complex documents. That defeats the entire purpose of having it saved. So yeah, turn that off. Save in the background, export in the background, automatically save cloud documents every 5 minutes. That is good. All right. So don't forget, this class is recorded so that you can go back and watch every step as you're doing it, and slow it down, fast forward, pause, all of that stuff. Okay, and then down here, optimize file open and save time on slow networks. And we want to auto activate Adobe fonts. So that means if you receive a file with a certain font that's not on your computer, Adobe will go ahead and download that font so that you are viewing the same thing as me. Okay, so that is your preferences setup. So now we're going to click OK.